Are there any good Star Trek games out there? A serious question, I can only really think of like two. There's Star Trek Elite Force, a first-person shooter set during the show Voyager, that I heard good things about, and it looks really good for like a late 90s game, but I never actually played it. And Star Trek the 25th Anniversary. It was a point-and-click adventure game back in like 1992. Yeah, Star Trek is that old that 1992 was its 25th anniversary. But that is weird, right? What I mean is, there's always like two sides in every competition. Just to name a few, you got like Nintendo and Sega, Xbox versus Sony, and Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. For Star Trek, it was always that or Star Wars. You're either a Star Trek Trekkie or a Star Wars... Warsy? Yeah, I don't really know if Star Wars fans have a name like Trekkie. Anyway, my point being is it's kind of weird how Star Wars has a bunch of good games, and I can't really think of any Star Trek games. Maybe like a handful, and most of them were terrible. You have the Star Trek game from 2013, which was based off of the reboot, which wasn't that great. And then there's Star Trek Online, which honestly is going strong, but I don't really want to count that because it's just an MMO. And then there are some of the games during the NES and SNES games, and maybe a few in the 90s. But I'm serious, if you guys have like a list of Star Trek games that are good, let me know, I really want to play them. But you're probably wondering where I'm going with all of this. Well, in the 90s, there was a fad called FMVs. I already talked about FMVs when I did Jurassic Park for the Sega CD, but I'll do a quick recap. Back when CDs became more popular, it was discovered you could put movies in them, and in turn, kind of make it more like a game, sort of like an interactive movie. But unfortunately, this quickly became nothing more than a fad. The storage needed at the time to make something like this meant that you either only had FMV during the cutscenes, or you had to make the game super short with any actual interactions you could do boiled down to just press a button at the right time. Stuff like Mad Dog McCree tried to make this work, and for the most part it did, but there were clear limitations. Like only having one guy at a time pop up because they didn't film two guys and one of them getting shot, or the other guy getting shot first instead. The best I could think for full FMV, and I mean like the whole game being full FMV, were like point-and-click adventures like Phantasmagoria or the Tex Murphy games. So back to my original point. Star Wars and Star Trek only had like maybe two FMV games. For Star Wars it was Dark Forces 2 and Rebel Assault 1 and 2. And for Star Trek it was just like Star Trek Klingon and Star Trek Borg. And it's just kind of weird to me that Star Trek and Star Wars only did like two FMV games. Both of the Star Trek games were kind of the same, meaning you had to choose between a few choices while being guided by someone to show you the way, and to also ridicule you if you choose wrong.
Taking them. Fuck! What are you doing? You would challenge one of Gowron's personal guards? They are not here for sport! They are guarding the leader of the High Council! Ally to the House of St. Peace! Your house, Puck! Stop your games before someone takes true offense!
Star Trek Borg came out in 1996 and was published and developed by Simon & Schuster, who are the current holders of the Star Trek novels. And they also made some other Star Trek games, including Klingon. And being in 1996, this was during Star Trek Voyager's run. This game was also a bitch to get running on modern PCs. I actually wanted to review this game like a year ago. I even bought two copies of this, one in the jewel case and one in the big box. And I was going to give up on it after like a year of trying to get it to work with so many different ways of trying to do it. But in the end, I actually did get help. Over at Twitter, Spoony sent me a link to a site, and with that site I was able to get this game going. So, even if he never really sees this review, Spoony, I just want to say thank you for the assistance. If it wasn't for you, this review probably would never have happened. The game starts with a distress call. Apparently the Borg returned and are coming to Earth. You play as Cadet Furlong, who for some reason is on a military ship? For like what, an internship? But he has a high enough rank to join in on meetings?
An armada in Sector 001. to defend against the latest Borg incursion. Or rather, our ship is on her way to join them.
And before we continue, yeah, I'm more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan, which is why I have a set of Jedi robes on hand and not a Starfleet uniform. So if I get anything wrong, just please remember I'm still fairly new to Star Trek. Oh, and you might have also noticed these lines going across the screen, and this screen tear. Yeah, I don't know why it's happening or how to fix it. The line thing is just what seems to happen to old FMV games. I don't know, maybe it's a resolution thing. But the screen tearing, I tried several things and nothing really worked. I did lower the frame rate on the capture device because I read that old FMV games usually ran at like 14 frames per second, but I could only do either 10 or 20, so it's not perfect. The guy you play as is also really mad because your father was killed 10 years prior when the Borg first appeared in the Battle of Wolf 359. And was this anger? God, I'm so mad.
Temper, young man. What would your father say? How old were you when your father was killed? 9, 10 years old? And you're still not over it? Perhaps I should introduce myself. I imagine you've heard of me, though. Q. It's short for Q.
But then Q showed up, played by the Q man himself, John DeLancey, who offers to send you back in time to try to save your father, whose ship was destroyed during that battle. Right after basically saying he was the reason why the Borg killed him in the first place.
It was I, who introduced Picard to the Borg, and it's because of me that 10 years ago the Borg came to Wolf 359 and found that fleet of ships and found your father and killed them all. Was hit by an unknown Borg weapons discharge and vaporized. Vaporized. No trace. Nothing to bury, nothing to mourn. The Borg took it all away from you in an instant. You can run away with the others like a scared trog, or you can come with me, cadet. The choice is yours.
And here you can actually outright refuse him and just end the game right here.
It looks like I misjudged you. You're only interested in saving your own skin. And to think I went to so much trouble to arrange it all.
Come on, Cadet, you're... Q! Intruder alert, Deck 6.
Don't even bother.
Or you could just not say anything and have him continuously do this.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I'm offering you a chance to go and kill some Borg. Do you want to or not?
Before he breaks the fourth wall.
What is this? The first time you've used a computer? You see this? It's a cursor. Use it to click on objects on the screen. Here, click on me.
And then just boot you out.
You've had your chance.
Selecting to stay or not doing anything does this, by the way. And since you obviously didn't save, it sends you back to the beginning when you start it up again. Well, let's just go ahead and skip.
Before, and we have every expectation of successfully stopping them now. However, given the probability of armed conflict, the captain has ordered...
Oh, great. Because this is an FMV game, you're stuck in non-skippable cutscenes throughout. Sure, it's not that big of a deal, and honestly, it is my fault for just standing there with a thumb up my ass while Q gave us just 2 choices to make. But seriously, you couldn't just skip the right before Q showed up? There's like 4 minutes of video before then, and you're forced to sit through, and it just gets worse later on, let me tell you. So yeah, you select the option that lets you continue the game.
Excellent choice, monsieur. Keep the phaser, you're going to need it. And take this too. Be careful now, don't lose it. I only made one.
So with that, you're sent back in time during that one episode in The Next Generation.
Ready, Captain.
Have a look, I can't see you.
Or we went to the future, because at the beginning of the game, everyone was wearing uniforms from Next Generation, but when we get sent to the past, all of a sudden everyone is wearing uniforms from Voyager. And here we also meet our cast and crew.
The Tolstoy just took a major hit.
This is him, isn't it? Well, I can see the family resemblance. Look at him. He's barely older than you are. He shouldn't be in security, but 4 hours ago, the real security officer, Lieutenant Sprint, was killed, and this first-year ensign had to take his place.
So wait, the head of security dies, so the obvious next in line would be the new guy. Did everyone else just call in sick?
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Thaddeus Quint. He actually tried to save Sprint's life, but as you can see, he failed. The old goat. Mwah, mwah. Well, what'd you expect? He's a doctor, not a goat. Mwah. The phasers are useless. Just isolate the panel now.
Yeah, any reason why you can't do anything, Captain? Like, I know the Borg are supposed to be dangerous and all, but you guys can't, like, do anything about him punching your computer like that?
Security, isolate the ops console now.
Or what, these two chuckle fucks sitting here can't turn it off? No, you need Ensign Just Join to do it? Okay, so they just stand there for like a minute before this guy actually decides to do something about it, and he's dead.
You lose.
He's dead.
Wait, he's dead? God, that guy must have had a really low constitution score. So because of this, the ship explodes. Q did all of this just to show us what was going to happen. He really starts us off like 4 hours prior, when the head of security was still alive, who we actually become.
Lieutenant Sprint was killed 4 hours before the righteous even got to Wolf 359. But if the good Dr. Quint had been able to save Sprint 4 hours before, then Sprint would have been able to save the righteous, and you would have grown up in the loving company of your father, and all for the want of a horseshoe nail.
What the fuck does that mean, Q?
Shall we dance?
Yeah, so you take on the role of the head security officer with Q taking on the role of the doctor guy?
Come on, Sprint, make a choice.
And I'm a Brijani, whatever the fuck that means, and we meet the ship's counselor, Baraka, who, if I had to describe him, I would say he's basically the ship's after-school special speaker.
Lieutenant, are you all right?
Sprint? He's an ox. Nothing scares him.
And nothing hurts him, isn't that right, Lieutenant?
There are all kinds of pain, Lieutenant. Don't let the fact that you are Bajani prevent you from acknowledging the hurt.
Oh, please.
Baraka and Q do go back and forth throughout the game, and this guy I do like, and I think he does his role really well.
Hey, Baraka, do you just spout these platitudes, or are you deluded enough to actually believe in them?
Come on, Quint. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to change my mind. I still like you.
He kissed me.
Picard never
Kissed me.
I'm not Picard.
Sorry.
So your guy just starts walking around like he's not head of security and should be at his fucking station during this, and starts gawking at everyone.
Aye, sir. ETA at current speed, 4 hours, 5 minutes.
Good. We don't want them to get there before we do. And Targus, get that thing off my bridge.
Yes, sir.
Again, shouldn't like the head of security be doing that instead?
Security alert!
Shoot her. Shoot her!
Okay, shooter. Yeah, that makes sense.
Betrayal.
Oh, what? What? He told me to do it!
If I told you to jump into a Signian vortex, would you do it? You're a sentient being of sorts. Try using this. You know, all this space-time manipulation does take some effort on my part. It's not that easy. I'd appreciate it if you'd make a little effort, too.
Okay, of course you have to shoot the panel the Borg is using. If you do anything else, you lose and have to start back at the checkpoint. I mean, at least Q is hilarious throughout.
Sprint! He's in control of tactical. The phasers are useless.
Captain, we're hailing the Borg ship. Shields are dropping.
Uh-oh. There's a tight beam transmission going directly to the Borg cube. Computers uploading data about emergency transporters.
The Borg are firing! We're gonna die! And it's your fault.
Mr. Sprint, reconfigure your security console so you can control Tactical B. Then meet me down at the computer core. I want to secure this ship in case the Borg try and board us again.
Good shooting.
How about quick thinking, Quint? Good work, Quint. Nobody ever gives me any credit for anything I do.
That's because we don't like you, Quint.
Lieutenant Sprint, the console, please.
Oh yeah, I totally know how to operate this panel. Let's see, this one?
Sprint, I'm the one whose brain cells have been rewired, not you. Where's your mind? It's a good thing you only touched the delimiter.
Yeah, it's a good thing I only touched, that. Okay, well, how about this one?
What happened?
I don't know. I think he grabbed the power nodule.
What?
How is he, Doc?
I'm sorry. He's just too stupid to live.
Okay, that didn't work, so let's go for number 3.
Sprint, what's the first thing they teach you in systems tech? Make sure it ain't plugged in. I'd say that must have hurt, but I know you don't feel pain the way humans do.
Well, of course what you're supposed to do was choose 4 and then 3.
Vanderpump to Sprint. I'm waiting for you down in the core room, Lieutenant. Now!
It's just his way. You'll get used to it.
Yeah, but I'd still hurry if I were you. The captain definitely does not like to be kept waiting.
You do know how to get to the core room, don't you, Sprint?
Oh yeah, I definitely know how to use this elevator. Definitely can't fuck this up and, what the fuck is this?
Please key in destination code.
Do you normally have to play a game of Simon to get anywhere in Star Trek? Well, alright, let's just press a button and see where it takes us, and, I think I'm on the wrong floor. Oh, I'm on the right floor.
Mercy.
Why, hello, ladies. Hey, why did you do that?
Because I can.
Okay, so now what do I do? What the? Yeah, so you have this tricorder that Q gave you at the beginning that pretty much serves as your codex throughout the game. And it's also voiced by Q, and it gives you help on stuff. Like the various crew members and key items. Like the floor plans on the ship. It pauses the game as well as you use it to learn stuff. And you seem to take it out in real time, so it's kind of funny that you're in the middle of a conversation, and then you just go, oh, hold on, I gotta check the Q-opedia.
Captain
Mr.
Sprint.
Oh, yeah, give me a second, Captain, I'm reading your biography.
Academy class.
It is a pretty neat device, and you can learn a lot of things you don't know about Star Trek through it. So we use that to get the floor code to where we have to go. And if you get it wrong 3 times, Q just sends you there anyway.
You really need to learn to make better use of this equipment.
And you also just get chewed out by the captain, even if you get it right the first time. Which I did in my second playthrough to get some extra footage.
Hey, but
Mr. Sprint, I am a very tolerant captain, except when it comes to punctuality. I suggest you become more familiar with this ship's layout so you don't keep us waiting again.
Which is honestly pretty lame. This game doesn't have different scenes that play out depending on how well you do in that scene. But moving on, we go to the core room where we see a strange Borg object. And as Chief of Security, it's up to me to choose what to do.
Question is, how do we remove it? Sprint, you're the security officer. What do you think?
Well, let me just check my handy-dandy tricorder. I just read the game manual to learn how to use properly to figure it out, and,
Unknown. Readings indicate potentially fatal levels of neuro-generated energy. Wah, wah. Danger. Warning. Leave it alone.
Let's touch it.
Self-destruct initiated.
Oops. This choice and the other tool you can choose at this part are the only choices in the game besides like the beginning that end your game for some odd reason. You know what, guys? I think we should just leave it alone.
Mr. Sprint is right. Until we know more about Borg technology, I don't think we should make any attempts to interfere with the implant directly.
Captain, we were within transporter range for only 6.7 seconds. I don't see how the Borg transported to the bridge and implanted the circuit unless...
Unless there were 2 of them.
Well, it sounds like you have a huge security issue there, Captain. This isn't like an unused portion of the ship. This is like the core room or some shit. This is a heavily staffed area. You're telling me a Borg just walked in, took the panel off, attached some weird game gear into it, and got away before anyone noticed? They aren't like the T-1000s. They're pretty easy to spot. I mean, there's two guys right here. You're telling me that they didn't at least hear the can opener move?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
So the Borg apparently sent Solid Snake of Borg onto the ship because we have to search for him through the scanners on the ship to find him. Which we do, and we send only 2 guys after him? Okay, sure. So we decide who's going first by playing a game. Gotta choose the hand the badge is in. Oh, I see that the thumb suddenly moved. I think it's the game telling me it's right here. Oh.
I win.
Well, okay, I guess I'll just sit here and, wait. In the middle of the earth, in a place called Shire, lives a brave little hobbit whom we all admire.
Bad idea.
Huh? What?
You see, there is another Borg, and he's waiting in the corridor for whoever comes out first.
Oh, come on, man! I left you alone for like 5 seconds. Well, I guess I was supposed to click on the phaser, which I didn't, because I thought I had to click on Dad Borg over here, but instead I get Borgified.
Rise and shine, rise and shine. Hearing what you're
Borg.
feeling?
Taking over. Kill. Assimilate. Kill. Assimilate. Assimilate.
What have they done?
Double kill, triple kill.
And so yeah, I think I messed up a bit.
Things just aren't going to work out for you if you keep letting yourself get Borgified. Oh, and your father? He cheats.
Okay, so he cheats. So it's this hand, right? That thumb thing was just a trick and...
You hear what I told you? He cheats. You can't win.
Oh, okay, I get it now. So now what? What, do I click on him? Do I just stand there and wait for the timeout and...
Sprint behind you!
Surprise.
Okay, nope, that wasn't the solution. I'm a Borg again.
Reinforcements. 5 enemies. 2 enemies. Last enemy. Game over.
I don't think so.
So, one long, drawn-out cutscene game over later, and we're sent back here. And here's where we see one of the biggest issues with this game. There's little to no guidance. Usually in point-and-click games, there's some kind of indication on what you can and can't click. You know, the cursor changing color. There's some kind of symbol on the screen to show you, I don't know, anything. But here, there's nothing. The Borg cube is your cursor, but as far as I know, it doesn't change. The tricorder spins around until you hover over something and then it just stays in place. Why couldn't they just do that? Anyway, after like the 3rd time you get Borg, Q just sends you back and you automatically punch your father. Then you look over him and take his phaser. You look at it and then just put it back. Wrong. You see this bump right here? Yeah, you have to press it in like the split 2 seconds your guy looks at it to change the waveband or some shit, so your dad can shoot the Borg. A bump, which in the bit of research I've done, does not exist in any phaser except the one specifically in Borg. So even if you were a huge fan of Star Trek, you probably weren't going to get this in the first go. Maybe there was a Google Q search about phasers that tell you about it, but it doesn't matter. The spot is so small and it happens so quick, chances are you're going to miss it. This part took me over 10 minutes after I figured it out because of that. 10 minutes of giving my father the Irish hello, missing the button, doing a dance with the Borg, dead. Feed my dad a knuckle sandwich, miss the button, slow dance with the robot, dead. Giving my dad an amateur dentist appointment, miss the button, cha-cha real smooth, and dead. Give my dad the Irish goodbye, miss, same old song and dance, and dead. Even got to a point where Q was getting tired of this.
Is it possible that you haven't noticed that I keep sending you back to the same place? I mean, do you think I do these things just to be perverse? Well, yes, I suppose I do. I'm an omnipotent being. I could send you anywhere. I'm sending you there for a reason. Try to get it right this time. I'm tired of replaying this moment.
Yeah, you and me both, man. So, we finally do it and kill the Borg.
Good idea. Retuning the phaser to a higher EM band frequency.
I don't know why changing your dad's phaser was the solution when you could have just changed your own, but whatever.
Nice shot. What did you think I was gonna do, cheat?
We took a thing off the Borg and it disappears.
Let's go see what this circuit can tell us.
So the thing is like a memory flash drive, and we figure out it has to go into this girl here. And no, I don't really remember her name, but I do remember that she has a thing in her head because of some fucked up trauma that happened that I honestly just didn't care enough to look into on my Pokédex. But that neural head thing is stopping her from having like a mental breakdown, I think. And so we stick the thing into her head.
I don't understand.
Targus's implant works along the same basic principles as the Borg circuit. She might be able to interface with it.
No. You can't possibly be suggesting that Ensign Targus be allowed to interface with the implant.
Nobody is suggesting anything of the kind.
Except that's kind of exactly what you guys were suggesting.
Technology. Channels. Subspace channels. The Borg implant taking over systems. Shields. Modulate mutations. 0.6525 of normal. Now!
And with that, we find out some science mumbo-jumbo to go do something. I think hide ourselves from the Borg.
Got it. They've stopped firing.
The shield settings must be in sync with the Borg scanners. They sense us as being part of the collective.
Wait, so the Borg reads shield ratings and not like, you know, just the ship? How does that work exactly?
Alone! We are... Resistances! You will be assimilated!
But then Girl starts having problems.
Get from the Borg collective, we've got to disconnect her.
Okay, so it's turning her into a Borg? It can do that?
Do you want to be responsible for turning Ensign Targus into a Bolian zucchini?
Alright, 3 choices. Obviously, we have to remove the thing and,
Are you sure you want to do this? You saw what it did to Furlong. But then again, you are Bajani. I'll give you a chance to think about it.
Okay, well, I guess that wasn't it. Oh, I know, the phaser! I read the thing earlier that you can lower the damage and make a narrow beam, so maybe you can just lower the setting enough to just melt the Borg chip off her.
Betrayal.
Or I can just shoot her outright.
She's dead. You're not supposed to be killing people, Cadet. You're supposed to be saving them. It is a concept your limited cognitive abilities can deal with, isn't it? Or am I wasting my time with you? Don't disappoint me again.
Okay, to be honest, she did ask for it, so I shouldn't get court-martialed for it. Come to think of it, I end up killing these people a lot. Also, I did punch a fellow officer. Maybe I should be court-martialed. Okay, what about knocking her out? Maybe we can surgically remove it then. See, it worked! She's smiling, and, Uh-oh.
All evoked responses are negative. She's as good as dead. No, she'd be better off if she were dead. Maybe you should have just shot her. You want to go back and you want to try that?
What the fuck? I did shoot her! You yelled at me and said I was here to save lives! Ugh, okay, what if I just stand there?
You're in my way, sir.
Oh, great. Now I'm dead. Not exactly what I wanted. Try doing something.
Okay, that was kind of funny. One more time.
Oh, great. Now I'm dead. Not exactly what I wanted.
No, you know what you were supposed to do? The first thing. A second time. He was tricking you. Well, alright then.
No.
You see what I mean about these solutions? It gets even worse, trust me. So, second to last part, the captain is sending a team of 3 onto the Borg ship to find a code to disable the Borg device from earlier. So, of course, the 2 people who drive the ship and the head security guy goes deep into enemy territory, equipped with nothing but 1 med pack and some TV remotes. Are there not away teams specifically for something like this? Like an elite force or something? Also, do you not want like the 2 people who just suffered serious head trauma to like go to medbay first to make sure they're okay? And so we're brought onto the Borg ship, and can you just do that? Teleport anywhere on this ship? I thought there was like a specific room for that. So we're on the Borg cube, and the most bullshit part in the game. Here, for those who haven't played this yet, let's play a game. We come up to our first choice. Do we shoot these 2 Borgs? Yes or no? Well, if you know anything about the Borg, you probably know that they don't usually attack until they see you as a threat. So if you chose not to shoot them, well, you are in fact wrong. Well, kind of. Let me explain.
What are you looking at, cadet?
So after you let them go, you go to this panel with a code that you obviously don't know, and you get your ass killed.
They've adapted.
That's the trouble with Borg. You kill one, there's always another one to take its place. You're never gonna figure out how to interface until you learn how to think like a Borg. Kill them before they kill you. Strike first.
Q-Borg tells you to strike first, and so you do. After a minute of this again. You shoot them because you need to get Borgified so you can get the code that you need. Do some docking with a Borg bro, and then you shoot your friends.
You failed!
Okay, bullshit, but whatever. We now have the code. Now what?
That must be it. Contact terminated with a simulation implant. That must be a Borg time sequence.
Well, we need a Borg chip like last time to get rid of that Borg device with the code that we just got. It's a Borg shutdown code, you see. So you probably think, okay, well let's just shoot this Borg and get the chip. Deactivate the Borg device, go to Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for this to blow over, right? Wrong, because doing this makes you go through a series of dead ends. You go back to the ship, gotta put the thing in, let girl do it, she goes nuts, and we dance for a bit before she breaks the thing and the ship blows up. Give it to Dad, and it turns out when a Borg dies, they fucking know that they died and the ship blows up. Because we need a live Borg.
The shields are dropping.
The only good Borg.
We needed a live one.
So, of course, the solution is wait till girl shows up, tap on her arm to stop her from killing the Borg, grab the med spray thing, but if you use it on either the Q-Borg, which I did for shits and giggles, or use it on the next Borg, that's wrong and you get Borgified. This is to establish and show you that if you go into a Bajani trance beforehand, you keep your free will when you get turned into a Borg. Somehow, and that's what you need to do. So, go into the Encyclopedia Britannica to find a specific code that you need out of like 8 different codes. And you need the specific one, and it doesn't really tell you which one. Like, I'm fairly certain that even if you know how Bajani works, you could probably mess this up. Which, if you do, Q will just intervene and make you restart until you get it right. And then you inject it into yourself, so the Borg can immediately Borg you and you can save your friends. And man, this process takes like no time at all. Okay, be honest, does getting a simulator work that quickly in Star Trek? I thought it involved like surgery and like implanting stuff into you. So we're sent back into the ship, now as a Borg.
The Borg implant's programming is shutting down, Captain.
I have a message from Admiral Hansen. We are engaging the Borg. The Righteous is ordered to remain outside the battle until all first and second line defenses are exhausted. At your discretion. That was all, sir.
Oh, and also, oh my god, there's a Borg on this ship! So we're at the last part of the game, and we have one more important choice to make. One choice that could very much change the course of this game. Nah, I'm just kidding. It is one more choice, but it doesn't affect the story at all. You can punch Q in the face, or kick him in the balls. Yeah, let's go for the combo. This is where making me have to go through all this.
What was that for?
For working so hard to make people dislike you.
And why would I do that?
Because you're trying to prove that they actually like you.
Oh, spare me, Counselor. You don't have the tools to analyze me.
You desperately want to be liked.
I'm an omnipotent being masquerading as Dr. Quint. Whatever I want to happen, happens.
Interesting fantasy. If you want to be liked, try making yourself likable.
Alright, actual last puzzle of the game. We are now back to where we were at the beginning of this little adventure. The Borg are attaching themselves to the computer, but now the security guy is a Borg himself, and we can hack into him. Somehow. How do I do this?
Shield mutation is being altered. Shields are dropping.
The Borg cube is firing.
Okay, well if that didn't work, what if I just click on these words?
Shield mutation is being altered.
No? Okay, how about if I click on the board somewhere? Damn it!
To have come so far and then to lose? All this work and the outcome is the same.
No, the solution, and I'm not even kidding. Wait until this little dot shows up, click on it, and then you get a phone pad where you have to put in the deactivation code from earlier. What kind of sense does that make? Whatever. Day saved. Q reveals himself and me as well to everyone.
Who are you? And what happened to Dr. Quint and Lieutenant Sprint? And what have you done to my crew?
I'm afraid the lieutenant died about 4 hours ago. Not my doing. He was supposed to die. Just as all of you, I'm afraid. That's how it's written in the history books.
History? Are you telling us you're from the future?
He is. I am, well, as I said, I exist outside the confines of the space-time continuum. That is, if I want to. I'm trying to figure this out. As I said, I didn't expect Cadet Kalen to succeed here, and now that he has, I'm in kind of a bind.
I don't, Of course. According to history, we disappeared from Wolf 359 at exactly 0800 hours. If we stay here alive, it corrupts the timeline.
Alright, so how does this corrupt the timeline exactly? Do we have, like, the second coming of Hitler working in the engines or something? So, to solve this problem, Q sends the ship exactly 10 years into the future, when the game started. Because how does that not fuck up the timeline? Because the timeline before you did that, they were never going to appear 10 years in the future. In fact, you could turn Q's offer down. Would that affect the timeline? Q also wasn't expecting you to succeed, so this obviously wasn't supposed to happen. Also, what about the rest of the crew? Do they not get a say in this? People's parents could be dead. Their kids are all grown up, or worse, they're also dead. They probably lost whatever home they were living in prior to this. And what's worse, they're living in Star Trek Voyager and not Next Generation.
Oops, I almost forgot.
Where am I? What's going on?
Also, Q brought the doctor back, but what about Sprint, the security guy we took over? Does he stay dead because he died before? Yet I lived as him, and if he's alive, does he stay as a Borg? Oh well, no need to wonder about that. The game's over.
It's the Borg.
What are your orders, sir?
We're a Starfleet ship in Federation space. We may be 10 years behind the times, but I bet we know a thing or two more about the Borg than anyone else in this time. Lay in a pursuit course. Engage.
Plus, you can also watch our latest save all the way through, sort of like a movie we can watch with friends. I don't know anyone who'd be willing to sit down and watch this movie all the way through, and I'm probably never going to find out because once I beat this game, all of my saves were wiped and it stopped working properly.
To have come so far and then to lose? All this work and the outcome is the same.
Well, that was Star Trek Borg, and I wouldn't say it was that bad. It was kind of good. It definitely missed the mark, though, and could have been way better. If I'm going to be honest, it probably wasn't worth spending $10 on a complete in-box set and another $10 for another copy. But hey, for what it was entertaining at least. It's definitely not worth playing now unless you're like a huge Star Trek fan, mostly because of all the hoops you have to go through to get it to work on modern computers. Again, thank you Spoonie for the assistance. I will, if I can, put the link down below so if anyone interested can give it a try. But honestly, if you watch through this entire review, you might not be inclined to play through this game. There's just one path. I replayed this game just to get the shot of me kicking Q in the nuts, and if you know the correct path, you can go through this in like 40 minutes. Give or take messing up a few scenes, like that remote part, my god. And there's no branching paths. It's either just you lose and have to try again, or you get to continue.
Excuse me, am I mistaken? But isn't there a Borg on the bridge trying to control the ship? What are you gonna do? Scan it to death?
Would have been cool if there were like other endings you could do. Or if one of the crewmates died and you could have continued without them. I mean, you were only there to save your father after all. The game does promote that it is written by somebody who wrote many episodes of Star Trek. It really does feel like you're playing an actual episode of Star Trek, which is pretty cool and would probably be the most appealing to Star Trek fans. None of the acting was really all that bad. The worst I think would have to go to the two sidekicks you have with you all game. But to be honest, they were just interacting with you, which is basically just like a plank of wood. So it's at least passable. And again, I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, so a lot of this made me scratch my head in confusion. Like, for example, wasn't the Battle of Wolf 359 Starfleet's first encounter with the Borg? So how do they know about them already? And wasn't Picard the first Starfleet person they assimilated? So where did that computer panel come from? Did he get assimilated after the Battle of Wolf 359 or during?
Well, most of the Borg we've seen have direct interface abilities. Why would they need something like this?
And remember, they've already totally assimilated one Starfleet officer. Maybe this is his influence.
Or maybe it's a trick.
PC Gamer back in September 2017 also said that Star Trek Borg was among one of the best Star Trek games to play. So back to my original question, was there any good Star Trek games out there?
Really need to learn to make better use of this equipment.
Greetings! I am Q. Never mind why I'm in this primitive form, but do enjoy this video. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and comment down below, and also subscribe to this channel. I don't know exactly how it helps, but it does in fact help this channel out a lot. And it will also inform you when this channel releases new videos as they come out. Q command you!